I'm not ashamed.
What did Pharaoh mean when he said, evil is ahead of you? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on walking through the Bible.
Word the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Exodus chapter 10. We're going to be reading from verses 7 to 11. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus chapter 10, beginning at verse 7. Then Pharaoh's servants said to him, How long shall this man be a snare to us? Let the men go that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet know that Egypt is destroyed? So Moses and Aaron were brought again to Pharaoh, and he said to them, Go serve the Lord your God. Who are the ones that are going? And Moses said, We will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds we will go, for we must hold a feast to the Lord. Then he said to them, The Lord had better be with you when I let you and your little ones go. Beware, for evil is ahead of you. Not so. Go now, you who are men, and serve the Lord, for that is what you desired. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. In this episode, we continue our look at the 8th plague God inflicted upon Egypt as a result of Pharaoh's refusal to let the children of Israel go, the plague of locusts. We thus far have seen 7 plagues: the plague of the water of the Nile turning into blood, the plague of an overabundance of frogs brought out of the Nile, the plague of lice or ticks, the plague of flies, the plague of pestilence or disease causing death of all the cattle in the field, the plague of boils, skin ulcers that turned into running sores, and the plague of hail. Pharaoh was given a chance after each of these plagues to obey the word of the Lord, but after each time he refused, and so God continued plaguing Egypt. In the last episode, we discussed Moses and Aaron's warning to Pharaoh that if he didn't allow the children of Israel to go, that God would inflict the land with a plague of locusts, the sheer numbers of which Egypt had never seen before. They would eat all that was left behind by the hail and would enter the people's houses and eat what food they had as well. Coming to verse 7, we have the servants of Pharaoh coming to him and pleading with him to let Israel go. They ask him, How long shall this man be a snare to us? This is a rhetorical question meant to show how illogical Pharaoh is behaving. 7 plagues have come upon Egypt and have destroyed much of the land. A plague of pestilence destroyed most of the livestock. A plague of hail destroyed much of what was left of the livestock, and an entire year's harvest of barley and flax. The people have been tormented with lice, flies, and boils. How much longer was Pharaoh going to let his people suffer before doing what was necessary to get all this to stop? This pleading got to Pharaoh, so he called Moses and Aaron to him and said that they could go and serve their God. His intentions, though, became clear that he is not seeking to release them forever by his next question. He asked who is going. Moses said that our young and our old, our sons and our daughters, along with our livestock, are going, for they must go and hold a feast to the Lord, Jehovah. Pharaoh's response to them is one filled with anger and scorn. He said, The Lord had better be with you when I let you and your little ones go. What does he mean by this? He means, as I agree to this, Jehovah better be on your side, for I will come after you and destroy you otherwise. Pharaoh is not agreeing to God's demands out of his desire to obey him. Pharaoh is doing this to heed the voice of his servants and avoid the locusts. He continues by saying, Beware, for evil is ahead of you. This is a veiled threat given by Pharaoh to Moses. He was not releasing them forever. He expected their return after this feast. By allowing all of them, including their children and livestock, to go, Pharaoh was running the risk of them fleeing for good. Pharaoh was telling Moses that he knew of that intention, for Moses had been demanding that of Pharaoh and did so again in this chapter. However, if they tried that here, evil would come after them, for he would rise up and do battle with them. No sooner had Pharaoh agreed to let all of Israel go, he changed his mind. Instead, he decided only to have the men go. Why did he change his mind? We're not told exactly, but he must have come to the conclusion that the risk of Israel fleeing forever was too high, and that their God would be with them and defeat Pharaoh's armies should Pharaoh come after them. So he decided to only release the men. By keeping the women and children and livestock in Egypt, it would ensure that they would return, and with the feast of the Lord taken care of, they could resume their work as slaves without further interruption from Moses and Aaron. Pharaoh was trying to have it both ways: appease Jehovah by allowing some of his people to go out and to worship him, while keeping his slaves as well. Such, though, is not going to appease God. He wants Israel's full release. We'll see God's response to this in the next episode. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus chapter 10, verses 12 to 20, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not ashamed.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his cross.